Crimean Tatars or Krimli. Who are they? What are they known for? What have they given to the world? And how did they change history? Watch the video blog, Moments of History, Personalities, to find out. On October 25, 1920, a man who needs no introduction was born in Aleppo. The name of Amiet-Chan Sultan is included in textbooks of the modern history of Ukraine. He was twice a hero of the Second World War, and it was said that he performed real miracles in battles. But in reality, he was a man of amazing modesty. The test pilot became a real legend for his people. After the end of World War II, he became one of the 10 best pilots in the world. He is also the hero of the famous feature film Hey Tarma, directed by our video blog curator. Film is also starring him in the main role. Amiet-Chan could have lived a long and happy life. But he was unlucky in only one way. He was born during the Soviet Union. And only he knew what severe trials, broken dreams, pain of loss, and the tragedy of his people he had to go through. He was said to have been brave, desperate, and courageous since childhood. He also had a dream to become a pilot and conquer the sky. In 1938, he entered the first Kocha military aviation school. Everything seemed to be going according to the plan. His favorite Crimea, his favorite job, his favorite girl, but the war made its own adjustments. Already on June 22, 1941, junior pilot Amiet-Chan Sultan flew several combat missions and was awarded the Order of the Red Star. Here, in the war, he had to learn new realities under enemy fire. And at the same time, he had to navigate quickly and accurately. Amiet-Chan was said to be like a mountain eagle. He was characterized by vigilance, swiftness, and courage. It is no coincidence that he chose the eagle as his symbol and amulet. By the way, only Amiet-Chan was allowed to depict an eagle on his warplanes. In the first months of the war, his name thundered over Yaroslavl, over northern Prussia, over his native Crimea, and over Stalingrad, after which he proved himself to be a recognized ace and was included in the Soviet pilot team. At the age of 23, on August 24, 1943, Amiet-Chan Sultan was awarded the Gold Star and the title of Hero of the Soviet Union. It was a high honor for a young man. Finally, on April 8, 1944, the troops of the 4th Ukrainian Front began to storm the enemy's fortifications on the peninsula. Amiet-Chan was tasked with destroying German planes on the runways and preventing them from taking off. His squadron was to be the first to take off and face German anti-aircraft fire. It was only in May of 1944, when Crimea was completely liberated, that the long-awaited day came for Amiet-Chan. He came to his parents in his native Aleppo for 3 days with his friends. And at dawn on May 18, he witnessed horrific violence. By Stalin's order, the entire Crimean Tatar people were to be deported in 1 day. The hero of the Soviet Union's mother Nazarby was also on the deportation list. His father, a native of Dagestan, was not touched. All other relatives and friends were already being put into trucks and taken somewhere. Amiet-Chan rushed to the headquarters of the colonel who was in charge of this operation to find out on what grounds the whole nation was being evicted. But he received a rude answer that it was an order and could not be discussed. All the colonel could offer was to defend the mother of a hero of the Soviet Union, obviously realizing the absurdity of the situation. The news did not bring Amet any relief. What he had experienced remained forever a deep, bloody wound in his heart. He could not look without tears at the women, children, and elderly people who were sent in groups to the assembly centers. No, Amiet-Chan could not accept the unfair accusation against the Crimean Tatar people. After May 18, 1944, this cheerful young man changed forever. Amiet-Chan returned to the regiment as a completely different person. Something broke in him and a great sadness in his eyes remained until the last day. In the summer, his regiment was sent to Moscow to train how to use a new fighter jet, and that's when he met her. History tells us a romantic version that Amiet-Chan unexpectedly fell in love with Fina Danilchenko and surprisingly quickly proposed to her. However, it is well known that people like Amiet-Chan were under constant surveillance by the special services. Yes, he was a hero, but he was a Crimean Tatar and in a sense unreliable for the Soviet Union. Therefore, it was important that he had a person next to him who would report his every move. Today there is evidence that this woman, like many other wives of unreliable heroes, worked for the KGB. Amiet-Chan knew this well. All his life, he had been under the covert supervision of the Department for Combating Nationalism, Dissidents, Crime, and Anti-Soviet Activities. There was no possibility of happiness in this marriage. The hero's relatives and eyewitnesses said that Fina never treated her husband with respect. That means they were completely different people. Therefore, despite the fact that Amiet-Chan was mostly in love with his work, later on, true love appeared in his life as well. All we can say now is that she was his compatriot. In February 1945, Amiet-Chan met French pilots from the Normandy Niemen Fighter Division. The French had great respect for the heroic achievements of Major Amiet-Chan Sultan. But in the Soviet Union, when he was presented with his second Gold Star on July 26, 1945, some high-ranking staff members advised him to change his nationality. Amiet-Chan, on the other hand, stubbornly wrote in his personal letter in the column Nationality, Crimean Tatar. He could have graduated from the military academy and made a brilliant career, but chose to become a test pilot. Amiet-Chan Sultan applied to the Flight Test Institute near Moscow. Over time, he became one of those to whom the designers of new aircraft entrusted their first creations. During his flying career, he mastered about 100 types of aircraft, and his flight time totaled 4,237 hours. In 1956, he joined the national movement of the Crimean Tatars to return to their native Crimea. The senior leadership was unhappy with Amiet-Chan's interference in the Crimean Tatar issue and his nationality. Twice the hero was supposed to receive a third Gold Star, but for certain reason he did not. In November of 1970, Amiet-Chan had the opportunity to fly to Uzbekistan with a group of designers, where his fellow countrymen still lived. Activists of the Crimean Tatar national movement organized a meeting with him in Samarkand. Amiet-Chan himself was not talkative, but he firmly expressed the idea that the Crimean Tatar people should move back to Crimea. 2 months later, the fatal flight took place. On February 1, 1971, Amiet-Chan Sultan died during a test flight. The causes of the tragedy remain unclear to this day. Today, in Alupka, in the house where he was born, the Amethan Sultan Museum is open. In the city of Saki, an entire neighborhood is named after him. in Simferopol, one of the city squares, and the Flying Club where he began his career as a pilot are also named after Amiet-Chan Sultan. A bronze bust of the famous pilot is also installed in Kiev. One of the streets of the Ukrainian capital was renamed in his honor. And therefore, it would be more correct to say that Amiet-Chan Sultan is not just a twice hero of the Soviet Union, he is also a twice hero of Ukraine.
Дивіться нас на всіх сторінках соціальних мереж Кримського дому. Підписуйтесь та підтримуйте нас вподобайками.